Hi Leo, and welcome to your horoscope for May 2025. Thanks for joining me. My horoscopes are based on the UK time zone, so please bear that in mind and watch them in this order. Your rising sign first, also known as the ascendant, then your sun sign, and finally your moon sign. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to break the month of May down into 4 weeks. I'm going to pay particular attention to what the moon is doing, how it moves through your chart, which houses it occupies and when, and how that supports you and in what areas of your life. So week 1, which isn't really a week at all, it's 4 days. It's Thursday the 1st until Sunday the 4th of May. On the 1st of May, we have the moon in Gemini, and it's in your 11th house of hopes and dreams next to Jupiter in Gemini. So on the 1st of May, pay attention because something that is a hope and dream of yours that you weren't aware of becomes clear to you. So whether you want to be a world-renowned scientist, or you want your family to absolutely love and adore you, or you want to create a dish which you'll be remembered for, anything at all, it occurs to you, and it's going to be a genuine dream that pays off when you realize it and gives you real pleasure and meaning. On the 1st of May, we have a Celtic festival called Beltane. It means that we're halfway between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. And it was around this time of year back in the day when they put the cattle back out onto the fields. They realized things were warming up. The world was opening up again, blooming, blossoming. Things were warming up. And excuse me because I have zero Farsi, but there's a fire festival called Chaharshanbe Suri, and that happened on the 18th of March this year. And it's the day before Nowruz, which is the Persian New Year, and it's this fabulous ceremony. They create a fire, and the person or the people, the fire jumpers, they need to jump over the flames. And it's a wonderful symbolic thing to do because it means that you have to tap into your own courage and your own bravery and your own self-confidence, and to say, I'm going to make this leap. And by doing that, you're leaping into a whole new year. It's not guaranteed. Who knows what's going to happen in that year? But what you're doing it by jumping over the flames is you're embracing it completely. And what that does is it means that you're giving yourself the best chance to have a fabulous year because you're immediately committing to it. And a dual purpose of it, as far as I'm concerned, reading symbols, is that by jumping over the flames, you're burning away any lingering negativity, or you're detoxing things that you're still carrying around with you. So I just wanted to mention that because May is not just here where, it's Beltane and we're halfway between this and that. It's the beginning of a whole new month. Treat it like it's the beginning of a new year and ask yourself, what is it that I want to build? How can I be my most courageous, my most effervescent, fiery, beautiful self? And how can I place myself in the world in that way? On the 2nd and 3rd, the moon goes into Cancer, and it does that in your 12th house of spirituality and spiritual strength. 2 things. One, it's a good day for you to just unwind on those 2 days and to have an easy time of it and to read a book and to go for a walk and to chill. But second of all, it means that you may get some sort of spiritual support to face something in your life that you don't want to face. Something about yourself, something maybe about your career, about your family that seems unpleasant, that seems impossible, that seems unsolvable, and that you dislike. There'll be a spiritual message that comes in and it says, you can change this, or you can accept it, or you can put glitter on it and celebrate it. On the 4th, we have the moon going into your sign of Leo, and it joins Mars and the transiting ascendant in Leo, all in your 1st house of self. So this is a day where you'll have a great sense of well-being, but also it's a great day to show up as your true self, as your authentic self. So if you're in therapy, if you're trying to rid yourself of trauma or things that you're holding on to, it's a good time, if possible, to schedule in a session where you can really dive deeply into yourself with the aim and the ambition and the point to heal yourself, to strengthen yourself, and to not carry your entire past around with you, and to find a way to either come to terms with it or to drop it, or again to tolerate it. Or I'm not a big fan of tolerating things, to find a way to celebrate it. Mercury, Mars, and Venus, all of the personal planets, they're all direct in May. So as far as communication and transportation is concerned, expect very few problems. Venus, the planet of love and beauty and creativity, that's direct. So start new relationships, start new birthdays. Not new birthdays, start new relationships and start new businesses, and give those businesses birthdays here in May. That's what I was trying to say. And Mars, the planet of ambition and drive, that's direct all month as well. And Mars is the red planet. I always think it has ties to you. One, because here in May, it's Mars is in your sign of Leo, but usually your ruler is the sun, right? And the sun doesn't go retrograde. The sun keeps moving. But Mars is ambition. And with Mars being direct here, whatever you want to become, whatever you want to accomplish, and often Leos dream big and they want to lead and they want to be in the public. Maybe they want to perform. Maybe they want to influence people. This is the time to do all of those things and to make them happen for yourself. So in the first 4 days of the month, the moon starts in your 11th house of hopes and dreams in Gemini, and it ends in your first house of self. So that's the left-hand side of your chart. It has to do with the ascendant. So it's really about seeing yourself differently, allowing spirit to support you, and then taking all that energy and saying, I'm going to become the person I've always wanted to be. I'm going to be the grown-up that I saw myself being when I was little. Week 2, Monday to Sunday, the 5th to the 11th of May. The moon is still in Leo on the 5th, so same thing. There's deepened understanding of self. On the 6th, 7th, and 8th, the moon goes into Virgo in your second house of money and securities and assets. And that's great because Mercury is the communication planet that rules Virgo. And Mercury in Virgo is about listening and learning and assessing and making meaning. And it's a good 3-day period to get on top of your finances in a very simple way, to get rid of direct debits that you no longer need but that are still going out. In a bigger way, to look at your investments, to look at your plans for your finances in future. Do you want to save up for a house? Do you want to save up for a deposit on to get a mortgage? Do you want to sell a property? Do you want to invest? Do you want to invest in commodities or in stocks? Are there any things that you want to leave to your children or to charities as part of your inheritance? Do you want to create a will? Those kind of things are all supported on the 6th, 7th, and 8th. On the 6th and 7th, we have the Eta Aquarids meteor shower. Astrology is based on the Northern Hemisphere. Whether you're watching this in the Southern Hemisphere or the Northern Hemisphere, it doesn't matter. The energy is the same and it's based on the Northern, right? But this meteor shower, you'll be able to view best in the Southern Hemisphere. And it stems from the constellation of Aquarius. So it gives you the ability to look beyond your own circumstances, the own details of your life. And instead, you're able to look at humanity and healing and learning and I have said this for all the other signs. I'd like you to make a wish for someone who is a friend of yours or a family member or who you barely know. And instead of saying, hey, I wish for myself to fall in love and to be happy and to have great health, make a wish for someone else and say, I hope that person gets all the happiness in life that they want, or I hope they win the lottery, or I hope they recover their health, or do something like that. I'm getting a vibe that with this meteor shower, by wishing upon a star on behalf of another person, great things are going to happen as a result. On the 9th and 10th, the moon moves into Libra and it goes into your third house of communication. And that's great if you're in a formal situation, if you're working, if you have to do any public presentations, if you have to get people on board, if you have to convince people of certain things, this 2-day period is really good for that. If it's a less formal situation, it's a great time to meet new people, to make friends. If there's anything you want to get off your chest and there's a friend you have or a family member who you trust and who you're able to talk to. But sometimes when you talk about particularly sensitive topics, there can be an unexpected reaction that's not necessarily helpful. Expect no negative surprises in that area on the 9th and 10th. Express what you need to. Share what you want to share. And also, Libra is ruled by Venus, the planet of love and beauty and creativity. And in your third house, if you're a designer, painter, performance artist, you'll be able to create wonderful work on those 2 days. The 10th of May, we have Mercury ingressing into Taurus. And in your case, it does that in your 10th house. It goes from your 9th house of travel, education, and the higher realms where it was in Aries. And it goes into Taurus in your 10th, where it joins the transiting midheaven, which is your work, your sun, which is the identity you're aspiring towards, and Uranus, the planet of the miraculous and the unexpected. And from the 10th of May, you will be able to see things in a very black and white way when it comes to work. And you'll be incredibly effective. You'll be able to make wonderful decisions when it comes to work. So if you're in an elevated position where there are risky decisions that need to be made, please be encouraged by this shift from the 10th of May onwards that you will make the right decisions. If you're retired or a student, this is a time to see things in a very down-to-earth, practical, grounded kind of way. And it will show you what you can work towards, what you can work with in the physical world, and what you can kind of build yourself. So whether it's a garden or it's knitting or it's pottery or again it's design or feng shui or using the physical world and seeing how symbols create an environment and vice versa, how what you see in your mind's eye, how that can be reflected in the physical world, so you can create a space that you can occupy, but also other people can be welcomed into. On the 11th, the moon goes into Scorpio, and it extends into week 3 as well. The moon stays in Scorpio on the 12th and 13th of May. And the moon is in Scorpio in your 4th house of family and your roots and what makes you feel like you belong. And it's next to Black Moon Lilith, Vesta, and Juno. So it's kind of complicated because the moon in Scorpio will allow you to see beyond the surface of things, and it will allow you to understand really important relationships in your life that maybe haven't made sense so far. And anything where you've been bamboozled into thinking something because the other person has wanted you to see things incorrectly because they get a benefit from it. So let's say I convince Joe that he is a disappointment to me, his father, when it comes to sports. I want him to feel that, believe that, so that I don't have to do any sports myself, so that I don't disappoint him and he sees how useless I am at baseball, for instance, and that my own son is ashamed of me. Tricky things like that, where people demotivate each other and keep each other smaller because everyone's afraid of losing face or losing respect. You'll be able to unearth those kind of things. Vesta at 9 degrees in Scorpio, you'll be able to find healthier patterns to replace those with. And Juno at 24 degrees in Scorpio, I think this 3-day period, the 11th, 12th, and 13th, you can really be your family's therapist. And if there are issues going on in the family, you can sit down as a group, as a unit, and hash things out and really get to some resolution where your dynamics change in a genuine way. So in week 2, the moon starts in your first house of self, and then on the 11th it ends in your 4th. So that's the first quadrant, houses 1, 2, and 3, and then house 4. So this second week is really about your perspective, how strong you are, how you can create your own ambitions, hopes, and dreams when it comes to finances, belongings, securities, what you can do differently. But then also you can allow that to spill over into your most important relationships, and you can create healing through communication. Week 3, that sounds like I'm hearing myself say that, and I can imagine for most people hearing that, it would sound like an absolute nightmare, that they'd rather eat glass than do that. But if you do decide to go that way, you will make positive changes occur. Week 3, Monday to Sunday, the 12th to 18th of May. On the 12th and 13th, moon still in Scorpio, so that opportunity to create family healing. Then the moon goes into Sagittarius on the 14th and 15th, which is really kind of counterproductive. Either I'm interpreting this incorrectly, but the 5th house is what I love to do work-wise, and it's who I love. And with the moon in Sagittarius, it wants to go on adventures. So having had all of those big discussions about the family dynamics on the 11th, 12th, and 13th, by the way, particularly on the 12th, that's the time when that theme would have been at its most powerful, because we had a full moon in Scorpio. So if you go through those 3 days, then on the 14th and 15th, it means that you've dumped a lot of stuff that was heavy and that kept you down. So what becomes far easier to identify is what you love to do work-wise and who you love. And obviously, planet duality, that would then also show you who you don't love and who you don't have to spend any time on anymore, because there's no point, that you don't get anything from it. They probably don't get anything from it, and who you can free yourself from if you need to make some space in your life, or you want to make some space in your life as far as people are concerned. On the 15th, 16th, and 17th, the moon goes into Capricorn, and it goes into your 6th house of the daily routines of your life, the structures of your life, your physical health and your physical body, and work. So on the very first and most obvious interpretation of that is these 3 days can be wonderful in terms of your work and what you can accomplish and what you can get done. Second of all, it can be working on your calendar and on your routine, the structures of your life, and to improve those, and also to create more space there so that you have more time to play and that you're not wasting your time doing things which really you don't enjoy and that have no productive outcome. If you're trying to make changes to your own physical appearance, to your own body, whether it's improving your diet, changing your nutrition, the way you feed your body, the way you treat yourself, or if you want to change your look, if you want to build muscle, if you want to stop wearing makeup when you usually do wear makeup, if you want to change your wardrobe, you can pay attention to those kind of things over this 3-day period as well and come up with results which you'll be really happy with. So week 3, the moon starts on the 12th in your 4th and it ends on the 18th in your 6th. So that's quadrant 2. That's houses 4, 5, 6. And that really is what I love to do and who I love. And it's being able to make improvements to the people you love, to really getting clear on what you love to do in terms of your work, but also things about yourself that you don't love and that you want to change so that you can love yourself more easily. And Leo, what I'm getting for you here in May so far overall is that this is a month for you where you get to decide what you spend your time and energy on, and the prompt is to create more space in your life so that you're not engaging with anything which is just a drain and which leaves you feeling depressed and tired and bled dry, and instead you're engaging with things which bring you joy and happiness and which fill you with a sense of being alive and feeling useful and like there's growth and there's the potential for positive change. Week 4, which really isn't a week at all, it's 13 days. It's pretty much the second half of the month. Monday to Saturday, the 19th to the 31st of May. On the 19th and 20th, the moon goes into Aquarius and it joins Pluto and Pallas in Aquarius in your 7th house of relationships. If you're a teacher, you'll have a really easy time of it. If you're an academic and you need to present a study or a paper that may be controversial, you'll have the courage to do that and to present it very well. If there are relationships in your life that are tedious, you will immediately remember that they're tedious and you'll want to let go of those and again make more space. The key thing again that I'm getting is to elevate yourself to a point where you're producing something that's useful and that you feel is useful and that you share that professionally or in an informal way, and that you let go of friends, colleagues, family members who don't support you or who aren't conducive to your happiness. So Leo, it's a tough month so far. I think this is you clearing the decks and saying that if you're not interested in my well-being and having a good life, then I don't want you in it. And I'm being that direct and telling, or not necessarily telling you, but I'm taking actions which demonstrate that that's the way it is now. On the 20th of May, the sun goes into Gemini and it goes into your 11th house of hopes and dreams. It joins the part of fortune, and Jupiter also in Gemini in your 11th. So from the 20th onwards, what you're really able to see like a mirage in the desert is these are my hopes and dreams for the future. I can almost make them out. They're shimmering. They're a distance away. But the closer you get, they're not just going to disappear. It's going to be an actual oasis, and you're able to visualize the oasis of your life here in May and make plans and speed up in order to get to those realities that you want to either manifest or create or work towards. On the 21st and 22nd, the moon goes into Pisces, and that goes into your 8th house of institutions and authorities. If there are any negotiations going on, or you're in mediation, or you have to deal with the tax people or the government or their legal issues, this is important to have representation with you, to have a lawyer to stand up for you. You may find it easy to kowtow and to say, yes, master, yes, government, yeah, you know best, I will do what you say. If you're in any of those kind of situations where it is court, or you're talking about doing a tax repayment plan or something like that, you need to have a professional in your corner with you who has your best interests as their job, and they're presenting that. For you to do it on your own is going to be a no-no. That's the only warning that I'm issuing so far this month, that you're going to need some help in those kind of areas on the 21st and 22nd. On the 23rd and 24th, the moon goes into Aries, and it moves into your ninth house of education, travel, and connection to the higher realms. Neptune, Venus, and Chiron are also in Aries in that ninth house. And really, what you're going to be interested in is, I want to realize my hopes and dreams, and anything that's negative or that needs tidying up from the past, I'm not willing to look to the past at all, even. I just want to enjoy my happiness in the here and now, and I want to create a wonderful future. Now, unfortunately, life doesn't work like that. And if you owe HMRC 20 grand, they will catch up to you and they will write you letters saying, where is our money? So make sure that here in this final 13 days of May, that you're not taking any shortcuts, that you're not like living in fantasy land saying, oh, isn't everything pretty and wonderful? You need to, on paper, things need to be right. And if you need help getting things right, make sure that you ask for that help. On the 24th, Saturn enters Aries, and it stays in Aries until September. So that, as long as everything in terms of your duties and obligations are concerned, as long as that is in hand, Saturn and Neptune now sit in Aries. Saturn was in Pisces for a while. Neptune was in Pisces for 14 years. They're both dipping their toes into Aries this year. They're retrograding into Pisces for the final time at the end of the year, before staying in Aries for a long time next year. And for you, Leo, they're in your ninth house of travel and learning and connecting to the higher realms. So if you have ever wanted to live in a different country, start making plans around that. If you've wanted to go back to school, that desire is going to get stronger and stronger as the year progresses. And it doesn't matter if you're 25, and at 25 you're labeled as a mature student, or if you're 50 or 60, if you want to go back to school, that desire isn't going to go anywhere. So make sure that you find ways of getting that organized so that you can do those kind of things if you're interested in them. On the 25th and 26th, the moon goes into Taurus, and that goes into your 10th house of work. So out of the whole month, these are the two best days for work and career, and being super productive in work and having outcomes which are unexpectedly good, to the extent of almost being miraculous. So make sure that you devote yourself as much as you can to your career on the 25th and 26th. You'll have wonderful results. On the 25th of May, Mercury ingresses into Gemini, and it goes into your 11th house of hopes and dreams. So again, what's going to be very clear in your mind's eye is the kind of life you would like to have. So is there anything that I need to warn you about then, really? No, it's just naively stumbling into things and saying, oh, everything's going to be fine. If there is a major debt, or if you are being sued, or if there is some sort of immigration issue, don't expect it to just work out and for people to show leniency and to be as kind as you're feeling towards others. Those kind of things need to be dealt with as neutrally and as realistically as possible for you not to have a rude awakening later on. On the 27th and 28th of May, the moon goes into Gemini and it goes into your 11th house. And on the 27th particularly, we have a new moon in Gemini, so the moon is pitch black. I'll make separate videos on the full moon and the new moon. But the new moon is when the moon is starting its cycle afresh. And it goes pitch black, it pulls a ton of energy in order to start and complete its next 28-day cycle. And in this case, it's pulling in Gemini energy into your 11th house of hopes and dreams. So the one thing that you're not going to be unclear about in May, Leo, is what your hopes and dreams are. You are going to be very, very clear about what your hopes and dreams are for your life. So make sure that you're responsible so that you don't feel like the rug is pulled out from under you and it turns into some sort of tragedy where you didn't know, or you didn't receive the letter, or you hadn't looked into it, and that's when things didn't work out the way you wanted. Make sure that everything is organized and as in hand as it possibly can be. On the 29th and 30th, the moon goes into Cancer, and these are 2 days to unwind and to decompress and to just take care of yourself and to let the universe take care of you as well a little bit. And if there is something that you feel like, you know, when you feel like you've forgotten something, but you don't know exactly what it is, if you have that sense that something's niggling at you, it's like, what is it that I missed? Meditate on that, pray on it, ask universe to reveal it to you. It may show up in a dream, and then when you wake up, attend to that thing immediately before you forget about it, or have a little notepad near your bed and write it down as soon as you wake up. Because if there is anything you've missed, the higher realms are going to remind you of it. And then the final day of the month, the moon goes back into your sign of Leo on the 31st. And on the 31st as well, we have Venus at its greatest western elongation. And you'll be able to see Venus in the eastern sky before sunrise. And I know Venus isn't your ruler, the sun is your ruler. But with the moon being in Leo in your first house and Mars being in your first house also in Leo, yes, you can be strong. Yes, you can show up and do everything. But Venus has to do with giving life to things and being surrounded by beautiful things. And look to Venus at the end of the month in the morning sky. Maybe get up early and say, show me and direct me to building the most amazing, abundant, prosperous life that I can possibly have, and remind me of anything that I may have overlooked that may detract from making my hopes and dreams a reality, and let's work together. And I think you'll get some amazing insights that will allow you to tidy up some stuff that needs tidying up, and that works as an insurance policy so that nothing comes and bites you in the behind later on. So a bit of a tough horoscope for you, Leo. I'm sorry about that. I just say it as I see it. If you would like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. To draw up your birth chart, I need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. If you don't have the time of birth, then I can use sunrise. but it means the ascendant and the house placements are incorrect. If you want those to be accurate, then please order a chart rectification with me. That's a process where you send me 10 or more significant life events and I manually work out your time of birth. Then once I have your charts in front of me, it shows me your life purpose, your vocational aptitudes, the areas of life where you're blessed and where you have to do very little work, other areas where you may have to do a bit of work, strengths, weaknesses, anything to do with you as an individual that you may have questions about. To look at what's coming up in future, I look at your progress chart, your transits. If it's around your birthday, I look at your solar return chart. So if you're interested in that, get in touch for those. And then if there's anything around location or moving, there's something called astrocartography, which shows me which parts of the world are going to support you and have good energy and good vibes for you, and which areas really aren't. So if you're thinking of moving and if you're trying to decide which places would be best for you, then please do get in touch with me so I can look at your astrocartography. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please, so it shows up in the algorithm. Subscribe for more videos in future, and please share this video with someone who you like or you dislike or you know. I always mess that part up. But please share this video. That's what helps this video and this channel grow. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel so that I reach more people. And if you could share this video, I'd be ever so grateful. Have a wonderful May, and I will speak to you soon. All the best. Take care.